free after more than 500 days in detention. Following their arrests, Walon and Kyaw Soe became international figureheads in the struggle for press freedom. They were convicted of breaking the Official Secrets Act for their coverage of the massacre of 10 Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar. Speaking shortly after their release, Walon told reporters he was keen to get back to work.
Inside in the prison and also around the world, people who are wishing to release us. So I would like to say thank you very much for everything. I'm really happy and excited to see my family and my colleagues. And I can't wait to go my newsroom now.
Reuters said the two men were jailed in retaliation for their reporting and had not committed any crime.
We are enormously pleased that Myanmar has released our courageous reporters, Walon and Kyaw Soe. Since their arrest 511 days ago, they have become symbols of the importance of press freedom around the world. We welcome their return.
Their case drew international criticism and put the spotlight on Myanmar's state councillor and de facto leader Aung San Suu Kyi, who was already under pressure for the oppression of the Rohingya minority. UN investigators said it amounted to genocide. The release of the two men comes at a time of year when it is traditional for the president to grant amnesties to prisoners. Today, they are back with their families, but the future of press freedom in Myanmar is unclear.
Joining me now on the line is freelance journalist Dave Grunebaum. He's in Yangon. Dave, now you've been working in Myanmar for many years and you've also been following this trial. As a journalist, what's your reaction to the release of these two Reuters journalists?
Well, my first reaction is just relief and happiness for them and their families that this nightmare for them is over. That's my first reaction. But then on the backside of that, the fact is that they should have never been in prison. They should have never been arrested in the first place. Someone who went to the trial, I mean, there was a police captain who was a prosecution witness who came up in the trial and testified that he and other policemen were ordered to plant documents and entrap these two journalists. So it was just compelling evidence that there was of entrapment, and that it was very clear that these two were basically arrested for their superb reporting on that massacre that we just heard about in that piece before, that led to them getting the Pulitzer Prize, the most prestigious award in journalism. It was very clear they should have never been arrested in the first place.
And Dave, their release seems to have taken many people by surprise. Do we know why they were suddenly released with a presidential amnesty?
Well, as you just said before, that there's a time of year when we do have these amnesties going on for many cases, and in the last few weeks, it usually happens right around the Burmese New Year, which was several weeks ago, and in the past few weeks, we've seen thousands of people who get released. Now, they were not in the early releases, so exactly why were they in today's group? It's not really clear at this time why. Although on the flip side, there have certainly been discussions going on, for well over a year, really since they were arrested in December 2017, that involved the United Nations, that involved representatives from many different governments, and of course involved Reuters. So discussions have been going on for a long time, but why this was the day when it happened is really unclear.
And Dave, what are conditions like for local journalists working in Myanmar?
Well, if you look at, the Myanmar nationals, the Myanmar citizens who are journalists here, there's definitely still a climate of fear for many of them, not just because of what happened to Reuters reporters, but there have been a number of local reporters who faced lawsuits that have come at them from the army, from the local police, and this very usually involves coverage of what's going on in Rakhine State. It's not just about the Rohingya crisis. There is another violent situation going on there that involves the military against armed ethnic Rakhine insurgents there, and very often the coverage of that has upset the security forces. So there's a lot of local reporters here who are very concerned about anything that could really upset the country's security forces and how they might report on that. So certainly for the local reporters, the Myanmar nationals, there's a climate of fear for many of them.
Dave Grunebaum in Yangon, thank you very much for that update from there.